Okay, we are live on YouTube. Let me check on Facebook. So, if you're watching on Facebook, give me a comment or a thumbs up or something to let me know that you're actually seeing me. Alright, and we're live on Facebook too. Hey Patty. Hi. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with this week's episode of Bob's Live. So, greetings and welcome to this week's episode of Bob's Live, our weekly show right here on the internet. And well, we are broadcasting on both Facebook and YouTube right now. So, you can give us a like or share. That helps out a ton. And yeah, this week we're going to be checking out a couple things. But first, again, I want to share that, we're available on Facebook and YouTube, but we also have all these other social media channels where you can follow us. So we're constantly posting pictures to Instagram, and we also now have a TikTok account. So you can check that out over on TikTok, and at Bob's Market is where to find us on all of those channels. Before we get started today, we do have one thing, and I just posted it right before we started this episode of Bob's Live, and that is a frost advisory. I can't believe it. It is this late in the year, and we're having frost advisories. So, let's go ahead and take a look at this. It says a frost advisory remains in effect from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. Eastern Wednesday. And we'll have temperatures as low as 33 that will result in frost formation, and is for portions of southeast Ohio, central, northeastern, northern, southeast, and western West Virginia. I think that's pretty much all of West Virginia. Why didn't they just say all of West Virginia? And it's, again, from 1 a.m. to 9 a.m. this morning, or, well, this coming Wednesday morning. And, of course, frost, it can kill sensitive outdoor vegetation left uncovered. So you want to take steps tonight to protect your plants. So what does that look like? If you came to Bob's over Mother's Day weekend and you took advantage of our sales, you want to make sure that you protect that investment. So if you have flowering annuals outside, that's the plants that die when it frosts, that you have to replant every year. So things like begonias, impatiens, marigolds, all of those types of flowers, you want to make sure that you cover them up. So something like a bed sheet works great. Blankets, if you have a plastic tarp or plastic sheeting, that will also work. Just basically anything to protect them from the frost and kind of trap a little bit of heat in. If you're out in the garden and you've got tomatoes or peppers planted, something like a milk jug with the bottom cut off down over the top of the plant, it can act like a cloche, and that'll help hold in a little bubble of warm air and protect your plants from the frost. So, yeah, make sure that you head out and cover up your plants tonight. And then also, if you have ferns that you got over Mother's Day, things like ferns that are in hanging baskets, other ornamental hanging baskets, and pots, make sure you bring those inside to protect them tonight. So, yeah, it's May 11th, and I can't believe we're talking about frost. It's nuts. Which, I was looking today at the weather history for this time of year, and the record low temperature during the day for May 11th in our area was 36 degrees. So that's definitely chilly. All right. The next thing that I wanted to cover this week is something that we had up on our website over the last week. So with Mother's Day coming up, we always do in the stores drawings for Mother's Day. And for the last few years, I've taken that online also. So over the last week, we had a sign-up form on the website. There was a little banner up at the top of the page. If you go to bobsmarket.com right now, we have a little frost advisory banner. But if you clicked on that banner last week, it would have taken you to a sign-up form for a Mother's Day drawing. And, well, we had around 250 people that signed up online for a prize. So let's go ahead and do that drawing. And what I did today is I basically printed out the spreadsheet of all the entries and then sat here with my scissors, which the handles are green, so they're invisible. I just now realized that. But I sat down with my scissors and cut out all of the entries. So we have, for the first time here on Bob's Live, we have Drawing Cam. So right here in front of me, I have a camera set up. And it's hard to believe, I printed them off kind of small because I tried to fit all 250 entries on one page to save paper. But I have all the entries right here in this. It's actually a Bob's Better Blooms pot. So let me give it a shake. Oh, and before I do that, let me show you what we're drawing for. And I swear I did not plan this, but given that we have a frost advisory tonight, we're going to be giving out some Bob's Market blankets, and they're actually Bob's Market 50th anniversary blankets. So they say 1970 to 2020, 50th anniversary Bob's Market. And these are really awesome. I've got one here in my office that I use when it gets chilly in here in the wintertime. And I also have one that I keep in the car because it is a great little picnic blanket. It folds up and it's got a Velcro closure on it. So you can fold it up and Velcro it together, and then it has a little carrying handle. So we're going to be giving away 3 of these. And let me go ahead and do the prize drawing here. And I am not looking. Of course, you really can't see that. So let me see. Yep. Not looking. Okay, we've got our first entry. And our first winner is, and it's not focusing that well. Oh, come on, focus for me. Anyhow, it says Leslie Meeks. Leslie Meeks is our first winner. So I'll lay that over here off to the side so I don't get it mixed up. And let's go ahead and do our second drawing. And, oh, I've got a whole bunch there. I think I'm down to just one. It's hard to do without looking. Okay. Trying to figure out how to pronounce the name. That's that's always the danger that you run into when you do drawings. Okay, so the second winner is Autumn Starostin. I'm going to go with that for the pronunciation. So Autumn Starostin is our second winner. And now let's do our third and final drawing. Okay. Oh, I think I just picked up like all of them. Okay, I think I'm down to one. All right. And our last winner is Sue Ann McCoy. So Sue Ann McCoy is our third winner. So Leslie, Autumn, and Sue will each be getting a Bob's Market 50th anniversary blanket, which ironically is perfect given that we have a frost advisory for tonight. Okay, so also, since we have a frost advisory, this fits right in with our video feature for this week. So you guys weren't the only ones to take advantage of Mother's Day. I also did. And yesterday, I planted some Impatiens and Dusty Miller, which neither are frost tolerant. So I'm going to be out tonight covering them up. I also have some petunias to plant, but I'm going to hold off on those and move them inside tonight to protect them. But I thought we would take a look at how I planted these Dusty Miller and Impatiens. I did them in the beds in front of my house, which I shared a video of planting it last year. So I'm going a little bit different with the design this year, and hopefully it turns out interesting. I've never done this plant combo before, so hopefully it turns out interesting. But let's go ahead and take a look at how I planted it, and then we'll talk a little bit about why I chose the types of plants that I did to go into that space. Alright, so let's take a look at planting the flower bed in front of my house. Alright, this evening I'm out here in front of my house where I have these two built-in flower beds that go along the length of the front of the house. And last year, we did a Lord of the Rings themed flower garden. We did Super Elfin, Mix Impatiens, and Wizard Coleus. This year, I'm going to go a whole different route. What I plan to do this year is mainly just have white in front of my house. I think it'll play nicely off of the brick, and also the white accents in the trim work of our house. So I have Super Elfin, White, and Patience, because this side of the house does tend to stay kind of shady during the day. And then I'm also adding Silver Dust, Dusty Miller. And it's one of those kind of classic plants that's starting to see a resurgence. So we're kind of going with two trends this year, with a white flower garden and with a little bit of an older classic variety with the Dusty Miller. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. All right, off camera before I got started, I cleaned out this flower bed because you didn't need to see me cleaning out all the weeds and junk that was in here. That's kind of boring. But over the last few years, the level of potting mix in this bed has dropped. So what I'm going to do is add in some fresh potting mix to the top and help level off the top of the bed. And that also kind of helps refresh some of the nutrients that's in here in this flower bed. So what I like to use in my beds is Pro Mix, and this is the Pro Mix BX. It's sort of a general purpose mix, but this bale is 3.8 cubic feet and it's compressed. So once I cut it open and fluff it up, I'll actually get more than 3.8 cubic feet. So let me grab my knife here and we'll cut into it. And what I like to do with these bales is I'll cut open a little flap like that, and you can see how compressed it is. So I'm just going to get in there with my shovel, break it up, and start adding it to the bed. That looks much better. Now my next step is to space these out, and what I'll do is I'll pop them out of their containers and kind of lay them out, and that way I can get them spaced evenly. And what I'm going to do is Impatiens in the front and then Dusty Miller in the back. I only had two in that square because I used two of them in a planter elsewhere. Now with the Dusty Miller, again, it's one of those things that we're really selling a lot of this year, so I actually have sets from two different batches. So these are a little bit older than these, but they're still the same plant. So I'm just going to kind of stagger them. Where this is nice fluffy potting mix, I can just work my hand back and forth like that to just plop them right down in the ground.
first few times that I water these, for about the first week or so, I'm not going to add any fertilizer. And that's because these are going through transplant shock right now. So I don't want to be introducing salts from the fertilizers into the wounded roots of these plants. We want to give them time to heal and recover and get established. Well, that was quite a job, and I bought plants to do my other flower bed over there, but as you can see, I'm running out of daylight. So I think I'm going to work on cleaning out that bed, and I'll probably plant it tomorrow evening. So look for that next week.
Okay, so it'll be interesting to kind of follow this bed to see how it turns out. I've never done this combo of Impatiens and Dusty Miller before, and I've also never done a completely white flower garden before. So I think it's going to really make the front of the house look interesting this year. And the front of my house is kind of an ongoing project. So I've shared a lot of the meadow garden, and really the last few years I focused on remodeling the inside of the house, which, you know, it's a 1960s rancher, and the previous owner was elderly, so, you know, there was basically no landscaping when we moved in. So with the size lot that we have and the meadow garden, the vegetable garden, remodeling inside, the landscaping in the front has kind of just been kind of set aside for the last few years. So I'll kind of fill in the existing beds and kind of let that be it. I have, you know, a couple spots that I've been looking at going, I really need to do something with those. And I'll come up with a plan, and then I change my mind on it. But I guess that's kind of the benefit of having all these different projects to work on, is it gives me time to really kind of slow down and think about what I'm doing and really make choices for the long term, because my wife and I were planning on staying in this house long term. I always tell her that we're building our retirement home. But yeah, when you start thinking about a time scale of years, you know, tackling that one little 4 by 8 foot bed doesn't really seem like that big of a deal, and yeah, we could push it off till next year. So this bed that I planted in this video, these were built into the side of the house when we bought it. Of course, down in front of it, there's an area that I'm sure used to be a flower bed, and right now it has landscape fabric covered with limestone. And why they did that, I have no clue. But that's, you know, that's one of those things, it just bugs me. And I'm going to be working on that in the future to at least make it something other than limestone. Why did they do just limestone? But yeah, that's, you know, one of those future projects that's just going to have to wait, because I've got so much on my plate with other house projects right now. But in this bed, what I used was bedding flats. And to me, they're kind of one of the kind of unsung heroes of the landscape. As the name implies, they're mainly used in flower beds. And mostly, I mean, we see the most of them being sold on the wholesale side to landscapers, because they're purchasing them at a wholesale price to fill in, you know, huge landscaping beds, usually for commercial properties. But these make a great option for home if you have a large flower bed to fill in, like I was doing. So basically, I used two 32 count flats to fill in this flower bed. And with these flats, of course, you're getting a smaller plant, which means that it takes a little bit more time, a little bit more care to get it to fill out into a more beautiful plant. But, you know, that's part of the fun of gardening, is taking care of these and nursing them along. So through May into June, they'll kind of fill out. And by kind of mid to late June into July and August, I'm sure this bed is just going to look amazing. So, yeah, if you're looking for a large space to fill in, check out bedding flats. They're a great option. They're really an economical choice if you have a large area to fill in rather than going with something larger like a 4.5-inch pot. You know, with this, these are great for containers, and if you want to do a sort of a more focal point in a planting. So a lot of times I'll use a few 4.5-inch pots kind of as focal points in the center of a planting in a bed, and then I'll surround it with 32 count bedding flats. So, you know, that's a way to get those to work together. So yeah, whenever you head out to the store to purchase your plants, that's the way I tend to think of it, as sort of approaching it from a landscaper mindset of how can I get the most bang for my buck and fill in these large areas that I need to fill in. So yeah, bedding flats, check them out. Huge variety of plants and a lot of color, and a great option. So, well, that is our episode for this week. So, until next time, and I mentioned in the video that I might be planting petunias tonight for next week's video. With the weather forecast, I don't know if I'm going to be doing that, so I might be working on another project tonight. But anyhow, until next time, keep growing.